4-698-3992.
Or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com.
For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant.
Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. Number 15?
Never not working.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulders scalp shield, never not working.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping-19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Okay, hello and welcome to a live edition of the ONG Strike Zone. We apologize for starting up a little bit later than we planned, but all good things come to those who wait. So we appreciate those of you who waited for us on Facebook and YouTube. And matter of fact, I was just in the midst of trying to make sure the Twitter stream went out. My name is Brian Fulford. Joining me, Kelvin Rozier, as always, and stepping in for our good friend Kofi Hemingway is Marcus Green. Kelvin, Marcus, how you fellas doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm glad we finally, we back. We look like we real time right now. No delays, man. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Christmas is past, New Year's is coming up, so nothing can be better.
Nothing could be better. That's right. Hopefully, you guys had a good Christmas. I know I did. Had a good chance to be with my family. Haven't seen my family unit together in the ways that we were in quite some time. So it was good. We had a chance to, as I think one of my cousins posted, we had a chance to love on each other, fuss at each other, laugh with each other, and that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what family and the holidays. Family. That's family,
yeah,
right?
That's
what
family.
You're supposed.
That's family and family.
Yes. Hey, look. We got a lot to talk about. 2022. We've been in the news, man. I was FAMU has been in the news, and I'm thankful for this show because I really wonder if some of the stuff that has gone on, not only this year, it keeps going up a notch. I feel like when we first did this in 2021, we were just kind of, just spotlighting so many things and so many places where we thought we were going, and then it kind of changed on a dime in 2022, and the show became more than just. I think the show became more than just telling people about FAMU athletics and culture. It became, I think I heard Dr. Cavill say this, we showed people how to express themselves to your administration and administrators when things aren't always going right. And I think we said from day one, Kelvin, I think we said this from day one. We wanted this show to be real, to be authentic, and look, like you just said, like FAMU, we gonna love on each other, and we gonna fuss at each other, and we gonna let you know that when it ain't right, we gonna let you know it ain't right, but it's coming from a place of love because we want to be the best. We want to be excellent, and with that expectation of excellence comes we got to call out when we see the brown dirt in the grass. We can't just let the brown dirt stay on the green grass. Let's fix the brown dirt and make it all green. What's your thoughts on how this show has maybe impacted just the FAMU culture over the past year? And I don't know, maybe I'm overstating that, but what's your thoughts, Kelvin?
Well, before I even go there, I just talk about the personal impact on me. When you came to me and Kofi, and start talking about trying to do a sports related show centered around FAMU. My thing is I never really tried to be upfront in the media type person, so I had a lot of reluctance and hesitancy, and I really wasn't going to do it, but I trusted you guys. Um, and so with your encouragement, I never committed. I said, well, you know, I give you a couple of episodes, man. You know, just to put my little 2 cent in. And look, it's 2 years later, man. so
He's
so
still here.
I guess
Still
I
here.
got I got the bug, I got the itch or what have you, and then you were you all were kind enough to embrace some of my thoughts and so forth, and we brought Marcus into the fold. I said, hey man, I got this guy, man. This is the recruiting guru, man. He's got everything, and he became a part, and just like FAMU, we grew, and we use our relationships and network. So for me, I became more comfortable. You guys hear a lot of stuff I've said over the years, just because of our friendship. But to put it on a platform here, it was just different. So I appreciate you helping me grow, for one. But then in terms of what it means, and you know I can't go anywhere without people saying, "Hey, man, as a matter of fact, my wife went somewhere the other day, and so, where she went, there was like, hey, tell your husband." I watch
Wow.
every Wednesday, so and it was family, and so
Okay.
um, and so it just means that people, as you know, when we go up to games and so forth, people recognize us and calling us out. So it's become a part of the fabric of FAMU sports athletic information. And the coaches have been so kind, and athletes, to grace us with their presence. We've had parents, we've had administrators. Not only if we have legends,
Yeah.
we've had all kind of guests, and then we've even had folks from other universities in official and unofficial capacity. So I love the development, and 2023 is going to be bigger and better and greater.
Well said. Well said. Marcus, and of course, I want to let everybody know, Marcus, although you don't always see Marcus on the front lines with Kofi and Kelvin, but Marcus is like right there in the background with us. I mean, we're all in the chats. We got our own offline group, so that there's nothing that goes on that Marcus isn't a part of, always dropping content and thoughts. Marcus, as you kind of seen this thing grow, what have your been thought? What are your thoughts over the past year, or just the past couple of years? Really, year and a half, because I guess we started this in the middle of 2021, so it's really only been a year. We haven't
Mhm.
even hit the 2 year mark, so we're about a year and a half in.
I think it's shown tremendous growth. And the echo Kelvin's point in terms of just having a platform where we can express some opinions, and I guess more importantly, hopefully our opinions are in alignment with Rattler Nation, but it also through the various chats and even through the various social media accounts where Rattler Nation can give their opinions on different things and feel like that it's being listened to. So I don't know how direct a line we would have to certain power movers and shakers at FAMU, but I would like to think that we can be at least one vehicle versus just throwing something out in the echo chamber on social media where it could be seen or not be seen. But we have a platform that's being watched by some FAMU faithful. It's been attended by the coaches, attended by some administrators, and hopefully some more administrators in the future. And people who have a vested interest in FAMU can receive the feedback. Even had our incoming NA, well, current president now, but incoming NA president sit in and take for about an hour or so. So it's an opportunity for Rattler Nation to express themselves, or at least to see the manifestation of some of their own ideas and thoughts being discussed versus feeling like they're out on their own. So I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways, and it will continue to get better and better. And for me personally, like Kelvin, I'm not really one to be out front, and so this has kind of helped me grow a little bit in terms of being a little bit out front, being on camera, but also an opportunity to share some of the things that I really like to do in terms of recruiting and sharing some of that information and expanding those boundaries and being able to share some of the information that I have that hopefully will be edifying the Rattler Nation.
Nice, nice. I always get a kick. I love. I appreciate all of you guys. I see Kenya Sykes wrote in there in the chats. This is appointment TV. I get a kick out of that. She's not the first person to say that. We've met some people on the road who have been like, who told us like, my wife knows. Hey, I gotta watch the ONG at 8 o'clock. It's like, don't bother me because I'm in my office, and it's like that I'm not that I get a kick out of that. The fact
Yeah.
that you guys who watch us on YouTube and we've really tried to. That was one of the things I know Kelvin and Kofi was on me big time because I'll do a pod. I'm one of those people that like I just want to drop a pod, just like hey, what time is it? Let's drop a podcast. Kelvin was like, nah, B, look, we gotta get a set time. We gotta really build the audience and make it. That's the one thing, Kelvin. You were very adamant, and I appreciate you for that, brother, because you made a point to say we gotta make sure we hit our times. We gotta be there, and trust me, the only time any of us have missed the show is if it's been like sick or a family emergency. But most of the time you'll see us here. I know the few times I missed family, Kofi obviously today, family, you and you've had to miss, but that's it. Other than that, man, the family knows. It's like, hey, 8 o'clock, I gotta be there because there are people who are waiting to hear us. And so that's cool to me. So I appreciate all of you guys who are watching, wherever you're watching us at, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you're watching the replay, if you're listening to the podcast on the BCSN Pod Zone, we appreciate it, and we take that seriously about trying to make sure we're here, even if we're a few minutes late getting started. We appreciate our producer in the background, producer Mel, who's working hard to get us on the stream and get us up and going. And so we're continually trying to find ways to keep the show to continue to upgrade and to keep the show like Kelvin said, bigger and better in 2023. So hey, we call this is the best and worst show. End of the year 2022. We were talking offline. Some of the biggest news stories in HBCU athletics 2022 calendar year. I'm not talking the academic school year. I'm talking from January 1 to December, what's today, the 28th? Two of the bigger news events of the year, FAMU has been in the mix, and we've been in it. You know what I'm saying? We have been a part of it. So when we talk about our impact as Rattlers and the Rattler brand, and I know, the dawn, as I like to say, the dawn of a new era is coming in 2023 with Tiffany Dawn Sykes. I know she's in Tallahassee. She's getting warmed up. She's getting ready. I know she's probably watching somewhere, and hopefully sometime in January she'll be coming on the show. And I'll tell you what, we got to do that live. I feel like, Kelvin, I got to make a trip to Tally. We can't do it over like this. It's like we got to come in, get like the 2020 chairs set up with the studio lighting, and we gotta actually talk to the AD live in somewhere. So I'm just letting you know that
Sounds
now.
good.
Yeah, we got her first appearance. We got to do that, but we've been fortunate enough, to talk to like Michael Smith. We were gracious enough to have him on, and I really had a chance to get to know Mike and appreciate him for what he has been tasked with trying to do. And so, as we look on this past year, we got we're gonna go through some of the best and worst moments. We want you guys to be a part of it and start letting us know. I know a lot of you. I heard somebody out there say, "Get Dr. Robinson up here." Yeah,
He's
Hey,
on a
the wish
couple of
list
lists.
is there. Hey, the wish list is there. Uh, I think we need to do that in like some informal settings. You know what I'm saying? Where there's like, no pressure. And allow him to be kind of just open and honest, uh, as best as possible. I don't know, how easy that'll be, but we know he watches. Put it like that. Somebody up in his offices watches, so they know. But yeah, we're gonna get into the best and worst. We're gonna also tell you what things we got right, what things we got wrong during the course of the year, and that's gonna be interesting because we all make predictions about things, and sometimes we get them right, sometimes we get them wrong, sometimes we get close. And so we'll kind of look back on that thing, and then we'll kind of go back and talk about who are our teams and players and coaches of the year. So that's interesting to see. So if you guys have any thoughts as we move along, please, let us know in the chats. You can always hit us up personally on our Twitter feed is at ONG Strike Zone. Our personal Twitter feeds, or you see, you'll start to scroll down there at the bottom. Let me go. First question. Let's go to guest. Who is maybe your favorite guest of 2022 that we had a chance to talk to, or Marcus, in your case, maybe that you had a chance to hear on the show? So I'll start with you, Kelvin. If you can kind of, I know I kind of threw a curveball at you with this one, so maybe if you can think of a guest that you were glad to have on. I'm trying to think myself as I ask that question, so I'll let you go first.
It depends what you're going for, right? If you're going, whether it be entertainment or whether you go for um, information. I enjoyed Ken Riley Jr. On the show, talking about his dad and getting inducted into the potentially into the, we'll know in January, the NFL Hall of Fame through the senior committee, and just him explaining the process and some of the things. Of course, I knew coach a little bit and went to school, and I coached junior, and his sister was a classmate of mine in high school. So, but for him to just provide some insights and some and from the family's perspective, and then what our process was, I thought I was really informative. I thought I was really valuable for someone of his character and a rather legend like that. Also, we got a lot of feedback, and I thought people really enjoyed Coach Highsmith. I
Oh
thought he was
yes,
really,
yeah.
yes, he was really entertaining. I've been around him. I've heard some of the stories, and he's like that all the time. He hasn't changed. But I thought he was an awesome guest, man. I really enjoyed him also.
I let's see, B Starks on YouTube hit one of the guests that I was definitely thinking of, Dr. Shante Friday Stroud. How great was she? And I know she took some bullets at the end of the whole process, right? Like, I mean, there were some people that did not like the way that whole thing went down at the end, but I really loved her candor, her
Yeah,
honesty.
yeah,
And look, you talk about asking not just a woman, but asking somebody to do a lot. All that she's asked to do. Not only is she running the School of Business and Industry, uh, the asked to run the FAMU Foundation, asked to chair this committee, which you're look. When we all heard the numbers, we all laughed because it was like, how in the hell do you expect to get anything accomplished when you have 18 different voices? And a lot of people will say that's kind of where the committee kind of fell apart or fell or puked on itself a little bit at the end because there were so many. But I just applaud the fact that she really tried to really explain as best as possible where we need to be as a university. And she is someone that I would definitely love to. Hey, look, I would love to be able to sit down and talk with her more in depth, just about how we can grow the relationship between athletics and funding. Because I still feel like for a lot of people, it's this mystery pot. And when things don't go right, Kelvin, all of a sudden you get people talking about schools are stealing money. And it's like, it's not necessarily we're stealing money, but it's just like you don't always see where the money goes because there's so many different little things that are set in place, and so a lot of people don't know where to give. Or so, I think that process needs to get cleaned up tremendously. And I just enjoyed the heck out of her interview. How about you, Marcus? Somebody that you enjoyed?
Actually, it was quite a few. I guess, like Kelvin said, depends on what you're looking for, whether you're looking for insight from a personal perspective or insight from a business operations perspective. So I enjoyed Mike Smith on the show. I enjoyed Miss Musa, seeing the parent's mom come on the show. And, you don't always get that interpersonal type thing. Once left into the first segment, one of the things that we try to bring to the audience is make a connection. And so having those personal connections versus just someone in a uniform or under a helmet. So I think those two stand out for me. I love Wally Williams.
What was that last one, Marcus? You said?
Wally Williams.
Oh, Wally Williams. Yeah, yeah. Wally Williams
So
was good.
he was entertaining. I don't know if he's quite Dr. Highsmith level, but he was getting there. With his stories and his entertainment.
Yeah, he was
value.
dropping some bombs.
Yeah, he was.
Hey, I just want to say with Musa Mom and Marcus, I got to give you credit for that. I thought that was just an awesome show. First of all, she was awesome, number one. But you never, you don't get that unless you know people, parent. You talk to them offline, but for her to be willing to come on and just some of the transparency, like she was like when she talked to her son, she said, "Well, my son, like, why they want to talk to you?" That's such a parent child. That's just such a parent child thing for those of us who have kids, right? So man, but yeah, I loved that. I thought that was awesome, and so we definitely have to do that more. That was a great idea.
And I'm hoping we have another mom soon. I'm working on that. Maybe not next week, but maybe first quarter.
Yeah.
A different mom.
Right. The Bowler brothers. I enjoyed getting those two guys on.
Yeah.
I kind of, like I said, I know, obviously I know Geisen, you know Geisen probably better than me, but even though I went to school, and their godfather is a good friend of mine we were running around at the same time in Gibbs Hall. So it was kind of cool getting a chance to talk to the Bowler brothers. That was really cool. Janiah Davis became a big fan. I became a big fan. She's always got a place here on the show. I think we hopefully even helped. I think we may have hooked her up with Dr. Lori on some NIL stuff. I know Dr. Lori has been really big, very helpful in the chat room. It was fun even having her on the show for that segment. But I think she was helping, or at least I know there was some NIL stuff we were trying to do there. I know there's other players that we've talked to and continue to talk to.
Roscoe, the promoter.
Whoa! Yes, yes. That was the episode. Yeah, yes, that was a big show. That was a big show. That was, and it's funny. that show came right about the time when people's awareness about promoters had reached a height, all because of the Southern Heritage Classic stuff. And people really started looking at the finances that promoters were making and started asking those questions when, hey, look, when the one thing Coach Prime did, if nothing else, when he asked the question, he knew he was very smart and strategic about what he was doing, because by him asking the questions, making it public, all of a sudden social media was like, yeah, why are y'all only making 300,000-400,000? Why aren't you getting $1 million, $2 million when they're paying Alabama and Florida State $3 million? How come FAMU's only getting 500,000 or 600? You know what I'm saying? It's like all of a sudden people's eyes start like, whoa, wait a minute. How come we aren't making that kind of money, right?
Right.
People became.
As a matter of fact,
We'll
Dion came on right after
interject.
that, right? Go ahead,
Yes,
Marcus.
yes.
Now, we'll interject on this, that those questions have been asked in private, but maybe not out of have been or are part who've been asking that questions for years. We'll give Coach right, but it's not as though the question's been. It's part of being a vehicle for those questions to be asked, whether someone in the audience brings it up, whether someone's experience having been at or doing the business athletic question, but out in the open, and now there's an opportunity to negotiate better days because now it is out in the open. But it's not that it hasn't been asked before or
Right,
been questioned.
and there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that, Marcus. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you know, we've talked about in the back rooms that never were publicly, and that's one of the things. Like I said, that was another impetus for why I wanted to do this show. I wanted to get those conversations out in the public forum, in the public space, because just like we said about writing, look, guys, I would have never thought to write a letter to the board of trustees. I would have never thought to do that, or the president. But as we started talking and understanding how the system works, we understood that, look, the people that are running this, I don't know if they necessarily know what's going on, or they get a sense of us caring as much as we do. So we have to let them know. And it's not by phone, it's blown up their inbox. Like the old days would have been, hey, write letters. So that way when the post office man come by, you got like bushels of letters. Like, whoa, where'd all these letters come from? No, nowadays it's blow up somebody's email box so that when they wake up and see, where'd all these 50 messages come from and what are they about? That's what we're talking about. Letting them know how much you care, so that when they have those board of trustees meetings, like what they did, they've been very adamant, some of them, not all, but some have been very adamant about asking the question, well, why should we give Dr. Robinson a raise when X, Y, and Z hasn't been done yet, has not been completed? You know, that stuff might not have happened had, you know, I don't know, you know, maybe it wouldn't have happened had we not been so adamant about putting that stuff out there for people, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's let's get into. I want to save some of the worst for the top of hour 2. All right, so I want to start with positive stuff. Let's start with the positive stuff as we come towards. So let's kind of go with some of the best moments of the year. And so we want you guys in the chats to go ahead and let us know what were some of your best moments 2022 now, January 1 to current. So we'll go around the horn and we'll see how much of each other's we take. So let's go, Kelvin. We'll start with you. We'll just go around the horn. Best moments of 2022.
One of the best moments for me, a couple of them happened in the fall, of course. Well, three of them actually happened in the fall. Um, the first one that happened in the fall was the volleyball champs repeating the dominance, establishing ourselves as a dominant program, the dominant program. You know, it was JSU till we came into the league, and you know, with everything that happened, and I'm gonna go back to because there's something that's happened before then, but with everything that was happening in athletics at the beginning of the fall, for them to come together and to put together a championship season in the way they did, and again only lost one game against a SWAC competition the entire season to include postseason, and to have a two-time defending player of the year in volleyball, the coach of the year in volleyball, and then of course all the other of the years in that sport. We're a dynasty. We're dominant, and coach is locked in. He's recruited. So having a championship program. Something else that happened in the fall, and the first part of it's going to be on my worst list, but how our student athletes responded to the whole beginning of the fall, particularly the football team, and I'm talking about everybody, the coaches, the players, staff. I thought that they handled that situation spot on, right?
Yeah.
They were disruptive, but they had a plan and a vision of where they want to go. They showed leadership. Leadership to me shines in times of adversity. It's easy to be, in the spotlight when everything's going well and going your way. But so our leadership between our team leaders and our coach during those trying, difficult circumstances, I thought represented the university well. And actually, it made a difference, right? It got administrations and board and leadership attention, and got some commitments. And some of those commitments have been followed up on and are still in process. So they made a difference for the people coming behind them. So I thought that was awesome. That's to be applauded. A third thing for me that I thought was wonderful was the whole LeBron release during basketball season with the new uniforms, and then every so often the different shoes and so forth. Man, we look good. We look damn good.
If nothing else, we look good.
That's it, man. And I just can't wait. I know we're gonna get into it later, but I know there's some releases coming, including for the public consumption that's not limited release, like those dunks were. But there's some LeBron sevens coming out, and I'll be the first in line to load up with them. So, but yeah, the whole LeBron deal come to fruition. I'm really looking forward to the other sports because I know this 2023. That's one of the things I'm gonna be looking forward. See how everybody else is looking in their LeBron Nike gear.
Yeah, I was getting to the point where if I see one more limited exclusive pair of shoes tweeted out by anybody from the athletic administration, I was gonna go ham. I was gonna go 8.
You ain't got these
because yeah, you ain't got these. All right. The hell, y'all trying to include? Look, I love y'all, but y'all want us to be a part of season ticket packages and all this. I say, man, y'all better run something out there for the people because y'all making the people real upset. Y'all making the people, jealousy. It don't look good on a rattlesnake. That's all I'm gonna say. It don't look good on the back of a rattlesnake. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all. Y'all keep running them pictures out there and then saying y'all ain't got these. Okay, we ain't got these. Okay.
We go,
Marcus, what
hey,
about you?
hey,
Give me
Brian, hold on, Brian. We're gonna
yeah.
have to do like they did Dion when he was at Jackson. Might have to go, jack him. You know how they stole his radio?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's shoes come up missing, boy, and it'd be
Coach,
like,
I ain't got your shoes, Coach. I ain't got your shoes.
"You got your shoes, coach. You got your shoes. I give you back the boombox, coach, but I ain't got your shoes. I don't know where your shoes are. I give you back the radio we took." Uh, Marcus, give me a best. Give me a best. Don't give me too many because Kelvin gave me like
Okay.
3 or 4, even though we were only supposed to do
Mhm.
one. So I'm gonna skip him for a couple of turns. But go ahead.
I got a couple written down. I guess
Go
even
ahead.
though it was short, I guess for me one of the best, even though it's not directly sports related, but the Marching 100 during the Louis Vuitton show.
Yep.
That was like explode. It's like it came out. I don't know if it was just like the week of or something, but it seemed like it was short notice. But it blew up so much and so fast. So that was really one big highlight for me. One play or one particular game, or actually two games. The Alabama State game where we had the blocked field goal and ran it back for a TD to seal the game. Now we were up by one, but if he made the kick after having a tough time of it, I think Musa had 2 or 3 interceptions, and at least 2 of the 3 that I can remember, maybe all 3 were in the red zone. So we could have
Three in the
put a
red zone.
hurting on
Yeah.
them. We could have put a hurting on them, but to have that block kick because that was like a 50-yard kick, so we had to kick it low. But to have it blocked and then run it back for a TD, and then to have the FAMU section at Alabama State jumping around, and the players jumping the stands and rocking and everything. That and I guess the last thing I'll tie into it was I finally got back to Tally and got to the Alabama A&M game. And
Yes,
so I got to hook up
sir.
with
Yes,
Brian,
sir.
got to hook up with Calvin.
We saw. He was there. We can testify. He was there.
So yeah, I'm up here in the Northeast, but I finally got down there, got a chance to lay eyes on the campus, walk around, just feel my spirit, hanging out with my boys, and then going over to visit some of the people in the school, at the engineering school, and also walk around campus, see and Kelvin hooked me up with a tour, so I got a tour of the press box, got a chance to see everything, so it was just lovely. So for me, that was a real highlight, and I've been waiting for years to do that.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let me see what I still have on the list that I haven't. Okay, at one point in time, gentlemen, and this was in 2022, we had the reigning women's volleyball player of the year, the FCS defensive player of the year, and the SWAC men's basketball player of the year. I really wish, and I don't know. Look, I don't. You tell me another time in FAMU history, and it might be at least 20, 25 years ago, when we had 3 of the major sports, men, women, where we had the player of the year. And I really feel like I wanted to do something so bad. Like, I wanted us to create, like, commemorative cards or a poster or something, because we'll be talking about the 2021-22 year where we had Dominique Washington, Isaiah Land, and MJ Randolph in our first year in the SWAC. So when we talk about how memorable did our first year in the SWAC end, we had the best players in volleyball, football, defensive side of the ball, and basketball. I mean,
It's good looking out.
that was one of the best for me. And all three guys, all three. I know we had Dominique on the show, we had MJ on the show. We, um, we talked to Isaiah during the media day, so we didn't quite have Isaiah on our show. But all great students, all great people. Love talking to Dominique. Love talking to MJ. And we're all hoping that Isaiah has great success and opportunities at the next level. How about
Brian, let me
this
ask you a
for
quick
you?
question.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Technically, since even though it's for the 2021 season, if Isaiah Land got his Buck Buchanan Award technically in 2022, in the first during that awards week, does that count, or does that go back to
Yeah.
2021?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Because he
Because
got
it this
well, let me
calendar
see.
year. It was for last
Did
season,
he?
but he got it like January. It was like right before the FCS national
Right.
title game, so it was like
Right.
the first week in January.
I'm going to include it because he had to come back in the fall. And so he had that moniker as the Buck Buchanan Award winner with him all off season, heading into the fall season. Dominique had that moniker over her as she was heading into the season and then would repeat. And MJ, hey, look, if MJ would have decided to come back because he still had a year eligibility, he would have been the reigning SWAC men's basketball player of the year. So yeah, I'm definitely including that as a great moment in 2022 that definitely should be celebrated and talked about. Let me give you one more while we're talking about major sports. How about the run? I just had to go back and look at this. How about the run that our baseball team had in their first SWAC baseball tournament? We got to the semifinals. I wrote this down. We played in 5 games, right? But the first 4 games could not have been more exhilarating, right? Game 1, we get a 10th inning game-winning RBI against Prairie View in the 10th inning to win 5-4, right? Game 2, we're playing the defending SWAC champs, right? Southern. We jump out to a 7-0 lead. Now, granted, the game didn't go. We ended up losing 8-7, but we came out of that game really feeling like, damn, we let one get away. Like we could have really put Southern.
We did.
We could have really put Southern up again. They could have got knocked out had we held on to a 7-0 lead. You don't expect to lose 7-0 leads, right? But that happened. No worries. What do we do the next day? In the loser side of the bracket, we turned around and put a 17-1 beating on Prairie View. I mean, eliminated them. Then guess what? We get a rematch with Southern. Now, Southern, because of the way the format is, Southern's been laying off in the cut, chilling. We take them to the 11th inning, get a 3-run homer by L.J. Bryant, beat Southern to force a 1-game win or go home in the semifinals. Southern proved to be a little bit too much. We kind of ran out of pitching. But that game, we ended up losing 10-2. But I don't know if many people thought we would play 5 games in the SWAC baseball tournament, and we finished 4th. And I think the East Side consisted of us, Alabama State, Bethune-Cookman.
It
That
was a
was
strong
3 of the
side.
4 teams. Yeah, that was the 3 of the 4 teams in the Final Four. And I think Southern ended up repeating as champs, but they had to do it in didn't it go like 17, 18 innings, the championship did, or something like that, if I recall? Do you guys recall? I think the championship went 17, 18
It was extra innings for sure.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, that was a best. I mean, look, for what it was, the baseball season, I think that was a best.
I do have one more
Another
when you
best.
finish, Brian.
Okay, how about this? I thought the FAMU NASCAR deal was a best when we actually entered into a deal. Now, it also
I don't know about the
proved to
deal.
be
Let's say the car. The
okay.
car,
Okay, the car,
the car
the
was awesome.
car. Well,
Yeah,
the
bro,
the
I had my
deal.
credit card already,
Hey,
and I was about to
well,
hit
and
the
that's what
buy
I'm saying.
button, and
The
then they took it
deal,
off. I was like, what the hell?
the deal was supposed to be die-cast cars. That was the deal that was supposed to result in that. And then some hands got in the way, some contracts got in the way, I's didn't get dotted, T's didn't get crossed, whatever. And we ended up blowing a big purchase order that would have made a lot of money. And we'll talk about how what that turned into. It might have been the nail in the coffin for somebody. But I just thought the FAMU logo on a NASCAR in a NASCAR race, that was huge. That was big. I thought that was a
Oh,
best
by
move.
far. By far, it was the best looking NASCAR, the best car I ever seen in my life. And I'm someone who
Yes.
actually watched. I actually watched it growing up. As a kid, I used to watch NASCAR. So that was a beautiful car, no doubt.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of diecast, I mean, I had my credit card right here by my computer.
I know.
I looked
I
at
know
it
you
like the
did.
week before, and I was like, okay, because they had different models. They had like the little Hot Wheel size, and then they had like kind
It's
of
like a
different size,
3 foot.
164.
It was like a 3 foot.
Yeah,
3 foot
I was going to
size,
get the
something like that.
3 foot one, and I went back to that
Yes.
website, and it was nowhere to be found.
Gone.
I was like, "Are you
Yeah.
joking me? What happened?" And then
I
everything
remember
else
we
came out.
talked
So,
about that. Marcus, you were freaking out. You were like, where'd it go? Where'd the link go? God dog it, where'd the link go? I don't know, Marcus. I was just there. And then we come to find out all the backstory stuff. But yeah, that was a
yeah,
trip.
that was.
All
Now, if I
right.
could add one
You
more,
had add
yep,
one. Add one. Go ahead.
Rachel Robertson, making the
Yeah.
NCAA outdoor track and field, uh, field, if you will, and
Yeah.
ending up as a. Oh my gosh, what?
What's that? Yeah, see, that's what it was supposed to. That's the actual
Yeah, it's supposed to be that
size
size.
that it was
You have to
going to
settle.
be.
Hey, I have to settle for this. I done had this a while, but I would have had it too.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Man. But yeah, Rachel Robertson, and she came on the show, I think the night before or a couple nights before.
She did.
She actually competed in the jump. So her making the NCAA outdoor track and field trials, and I think she ended up as an honorable mention All-American.
Honorable
So
All-American,
that's a
yeah.
highlight as well, and I wanted to make sure that got highlighted as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. While we're also talking individuals, how about Marquise Bell? Marquise Bell, undrafted free agent with the Dallas Cowboys. We were all disappointed he didn't get drafted, but it ended up working out for him as we watched him progress through the summer, in the fall camp, and he actually, doggone it, made one of the 53, became one of the 53. And so that was, I think also Savion Williams got a tryout with the Jets. So that was good. That was really good. That was really good. Any other best that you guys want to spotlight from the? I'm trying to look and see. Do I see anything else from you guys online here? You guys are kind of hitting on a lot of the same things we are. If we come up with any other best, we can obviously insert them. But that was a good list. That's a good list. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take a break, and then let's talk about the ugly side. Some of the worst moments of the year on the other side, as well as some of the top coaches, players, and teams of 2022. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark Frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh yeah, it's ballpark season.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
The Sweet and Smoky Salmon Rub infuses smoked black pepper with dehydrated maple syrup, pink Himalayan salt, ginger, thyme, mustard, and more to make a sweet, savory rub, perfect for salmon, trout, and other delicate seafood.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, and Marcus Green joining us while Kofi steps away for today, this evening. What up, Mike? What'd you say?
I'm doing Kofi little Monica he does on another show, you know. Just saying here. What up, boy?
Right, gotcha. Before we get into talking about some of the worst, of course, this is our best and worst of 2022. Let's kind of spotlight a few things happening around HBCUs and, of course, around FAMU. Coming up tomorrow, our final non-conference games for our men and women's basketball team are tomorrow. And of course, last weekend, or really maybe before Christmas, our men were in Kentucky taking on Louisville, and then the University of Kentucky playing at Rupp Arena for the first time. Now they go out to West Lafayette, Indiana, to take on the #1 team in the country, the Purdue Boilermakers. I can't even fix my mouth to say that as an Indiana kid who grew up. Before I knew what orange and green was, I was crimson and cream. I mean, I still am. I mean, that's the team I grew up with. There's some nasty photos of me wearing crimson and cream on somebody's
crimson and cream. Who color is that?
Throwback. Well, that's yeah. Stop it. That's Indiana University in Bloomington, where I thought basketball was born and born and to this day will die. Um, but yeah, so they played Purdue. When's the last time or has FAMU basketball ever played the number one team in the country? Do you recall?
During the regular season?
Yeah, yeah, during the regular
Okay,
season,
because
not
I
in the
think we.
postseason tournament.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I think we played Duke as an overall number one seed back when I want to say it was Gillespie's season when he made it, but they were the number one seed. But
Yeah, we played
Okay.
Kentucky, who was pretty high when we played them. But yeah, in
mhm.
the regular season, I don't know if we played the number one team before.
Okay.
I don't know if we expected
So
Purdue to be the number one team when we scheduled this.
no, but when you look at
We
all the
knew they was
teams
gonna
that
be
we
good.
scheduled, though, hey, yeah,
Yeah.
when we look at the teams, there was a possibility that one of those teams was going to
Mhm.
be top five, and maybe even could have found themselves at number one, given all the teams that we had to play this non-conference.
Hey,
I
hey,
I
hey,
don't even
Marcus,
know,
what I tell you is we knew them chips was gonna clear.
man.
That's a, that's how we schedule for all season. I'm hoping, hopefully, we'll get more, maybe a HBC tournament. We'll get some opportunities where we can pick up some wins and have one or two more home games in the pre in the pre before the conference schedule. We have to all HBCUs. We have to do better. We just pimping out those teams too much. It's not fair.
Go look at you guys. Go look at whose scheduling model I really like. Norfolk State's. Norfolk State has played. I don't. I got to go look and see how many Power Fives they played. Maybe two or three, but they probably played more
Mid-major.
mid-major,
Yep.
regional games. Now, obviously, there's more schools in their area that they can play.
Mhm.
Than what we have down here in Florida. But I like their schedule and the way they scheduled, and they beaten some of these teams. If you go and look at
A
their
lot of
record,
them.
they're going into the conference season probably next week or the week after. They will be at least 3 to 4 games over 500.
Yep.
That excites the fan base. I think Grambling
Yes.
in the SWAC. I don't know what the standings are. Grambling going into SWAC play might be 500 or above 500 by a game or two, and they've knocked off two Power Five teams. They've knocked off a
I don't think they're gonna be
Pac-12.
500. Yeah, yeah, they've
No.
had some good wins, but they're not gonna be 500 because they didn't follow up on those early good wins. I think they've lost about 4 or 5 in a row now.
Oh, okay. Well, all things come, all things do come back. I guess the ball bounces back in some form of fashion. Um, Jacksonville for our women. That's a good opportunity. We've seen our
Yes.
women team be very competitive against mid-major programs. They haven't gotten a win, but they've been competitive. And when I say competitive, I mean within double digits, maybe within a basket or two of maybe even having a lead. In some of these games, they have had leads. So as you get into SWAC play, um, I want to see them get a win against Jacksonville. You know, um,
I do too, but I have one concern on Brian. They haven't played since the 21st, I believe. So or the 18th actually, I think. So they
wow.
haven't played in a while. So I'm interested to see what kind of chemistry they're gonna have with that long of a layoff. But yeah, like you, I would love to see us win this game going into it because we have BCU men's and women on Monday.
Right, right. I was going to say our women should, if nothing else, they should be healthy, Kelvin. I mean, between playing,
Yeah.
it's been 11 days. So with the holiday break, you probably let the kids go somewhere for Christmas. Hopefully they didn't get caught traveling on Southwest. and they can actually get back to Tallahassee or Atlanta or wherever you got to get from there to Tallahassee, right? Is Southwest flying to Tallahassee?
No.
Oh, okay. So then they might be able to get back then. So yeah, they're in Jacksonville. So needless to say, if you're in the Jacksonville area, Thursday night, that's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern at Jacksonville University, go check out the Lady Rattlers. Please go support. Hell, if I didn't have I don't know. Let me see. We got a tournament in Daytona Beach. Can I get there in time? I got to look at my travel. I might try to make a trip from Daytona Beach to Jacksonville. It's gonna be tough, but
7
that
o'clock
game is
game.
what time?
7.
Yikes. Yeah, okay, so that's gonna be tough. And then of course, SWAC play starts in 2023, January 2nd. Oh, you know what? That was a memorable moment I forgot to mention. The one shining moment for our women's program in 2022 was they opened the SWAC season with a win. They a buzzer beater. They beat Bethune-Cookman on the road after going 0-11 in the non-conference. Right?
Yep.
They ended up winning their first game against Bethune-Cookman. So yeah, there's your one shining moment for our women's team.
Absolutely. Anytime we get a win over Cookman College, that's a good win.
Right, exactly. So Lawson Center, Monday, January 2nd. Bethune-Cookman. That's who our men and women play. That looks like it is my voice is getting worse and worse here.
5:30 and
That's
7:30. 5:30
right.
and 7:30 Monday at home in Lawson. So we need Rally Nation to come out and support. I don't know how many students gonna be back by then, but it's a chance to support our teams, and hopefully the basketball season tickets are ready. Nah, because I will come on the next show and let you know. And if they're not ready, I'm gonna cut up.
What's going on with the season tickets?
Because
What are
I
the
tried to
season
buy
ticket
my
prices?
tickets back in November, and they wouldn't take my money.
They weren't ready.
They have them ready. I don't understand that, but that's gonna be on my worst list. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, Brian.
Get the worst list ready for 2023 already. Yeah. So also in the news, Bethune-Cookman has a head football coach. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Goes by the name of Ed Reed. Instant reaction, Kelvin. You seem to have you like the move, huh?
Hey man, if you're gonna get rid of your coach Sims like they did, as late as they did, then you need a splash higher, because this is after the early recruitment period and everything. And based upon what Bethune is, this is a splash higher. He's well known in the state, of course, a hurricane legend. He'll be able to get kids to come there and recruit for him. It is a private institution. My only question is, and there's 2 or 3 of them, is my first question is so the AD there is the head basketball coach. I don't know how involved he's going to be with football, but there's some legitimate money issues. Now, Ed has relationships. The question is he going to leverage some of those relationships, like with the Baltimore Ravens? He has those kind of relationships. Right. Yeah. And if he leveraged those, man, this could be a home run for them. Now, don't get it twisted. We gonna win the Classic. I'm selling my Wolf tickets right now. We gonna win. It ain't gonna be close, but it's good for our little cousins. I want to see them up, and I anticipate that may help. Attendance and all that, and it's good to have a good, strong Bethune team for the rest of the swag, right? They need this. So it's a good thing, man. It's good for HBCU football. It's particularly good for Cookman. So congratulations. Um, he got to get his swag hours up. Because Bama
No
State
doubt.
coach coming from Bama State coach coming from he ain't swag. But no, I think it's a good
Uh,
thing, man.
Marcus, your instant reaction. Ed Reed, now the head ball coach at Bethune-Cookman University.
Interesting hire. I mean, we know for the last 2 years, I guess people have been theorizing, okay, who's the next one after Eddie George? Is Ed Reed sniffing around? Is Ray Lewis sniffing around? Who's going to be the next one? And so, I mean, his name's been around as potential, but no openings were there. And so, him being named, I didn't know what kind of relationship BCU had with Ed Reed or how things went down. Very interesting when I saw it come down last night, and it seemed like it got announced really fast. At least I didn't hear any rumblings of it actually happening until something popped up on Twitter. But it'll be interesting to see how the dynamics work with recruiting in terms of whether he has the same magnetism or maybe not magnetism. I don't want to use that word. The same pull that Coach Prime does. Because just looking at the two of them, I see two different personalities and not necessarily the same gravitas as it relates to being out front versus more reserved and business-like. And this is not to say Coach Prime isn't
Yeah.
about his business, but I see a difference in the personality, and I'm wondering if it'll have the same effect, or if BCU is expecting the same effect, or if the fans are expecting the same effect from two different people. And we've seen on multiple platforms and discussed on this show how much of a quote-unquote unicorn that Coach Prime happens to be, and that his playing career ended almost 20 years ago, and yet still resonates with the parents and the current recruitable athletes now, whereas Ed Reed doesn't have that same level of promotion and same level of visibility across all the platforms from NFL Network and other things, and different kind of personality. So I'm just wondering. I don't doubt, and I'm not doubting whatever recruiting prowess or whoever he brings in as a staff, but I'd like to see what the staff looks like and how he maneuvers in recruiting, and who he happens to bring, not only as staff but as advocates. Because Coach Prime had a lot of advocates from people who are in different platforms but former athletes. Like you look at Michael Strahan, he's on Good Morning America, and he was talking about Deion like almost every other week, every other month. And then you have people jumping on the bandwagon with Coach Prime because of the spotlight. So you had a lot of bandwagon hoppers that helped to promote his time at Jackson State. And I don't know if the same phenomena is expected at Bethune-Cookman, or even if Ed Reed would want that same type of phenomena to happen as attached to his coaching routine as to Coach Prime.
Did Shannon Sharp on Undisputed, did he happen to make mention of Ed Reed today? It would have been on Wednesday's show. Did he happen to mention anything about it? He and Ed played at
I don't know.
Baltimore.
I hadn't seen it. I hadn't
Okay.
I
seen it
haven't
today.
seen it either. It did
You
make
I
talked
note.
about
wouldn't be
how
shocked
quickly.
if
I did see a
I
couple
wouldn't be
notable
shocked if we have a
reporters.
couple of rattlers on the staff though.
Really?
That's a
Why you say
quick
that?
That'd be interesting.
quick hint.
Huh?
There's a couple of them that have a relationship with him, and
Okay.
they're down there in Miami, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay. 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 Here's what I can tell you. You talked about how quickly this thing moved, right? So I happened to be in Daytona Beach. Happened to be there for another a tournament, basketball tournament, and I'm standing near an athletic official from Bethune. Just hey, what's going on with your athletic with that position? and he says, "Oh, if I told you, I'd have to kill you." And I said, "Oh, you got somebody?" He was like, "Yeah, but we're not releasing it just yet." And I looked at him and said, "Oh no." He said, "No, no, no. I got it. I got the press release in the can. I'm going on vacation. Blah blah blah." Right? So I'm like, "Okay, I guess y'all not gonna do anything, huh?" About 10 minutes later, I look at my Twitter feed, and I I got
Hey,
tagged. I got tagged, and hey, Hale Wildcats broke the story that said Ed Reed's a coach, and so I go show my man. I just showed him. I said, "Hey, that internet man, news travels fast," and he just looked at it like, "Ah, damn, Hale Wildcats," and so and then he just hit me up and said, "Yeah, we had to go ahead and release." We had to release a statement about 10 minutes ago. I said, "Oh, so yeah, about an hour." So basically, Wildcats had broke the story about an hour right before, and then I guess maybe after about 45 minutes, the university was like, "Well, let's go ahead and put out something." And then yeah, as soon as they put that out, you had Bleacher Report, NFL Network, ESPN, everybody
Yep.
picked up on it, right? Uh, I hope Bethune is
Shefty picked
ready
up.
for this attention. I hope Bethune is ready for the amount of
yeah,
attention that they are
yeah.
going to get. I agree. It won't be as loud as Coach Prime because Ed Reed was never that kind of player. Um, what I do find interesting. Pay attention to the narrative. Now, the narrative when Dion was the head coach was, people questioned whether he was a coach, whether he could do it, whether somebody that was so flashy and about himself on the pro level could be a coach, right? That's the people who never paid attention to his high school career and his youth league and how he basically worked himself up to the opportunity that he was given. Ed Reed has been regarded by people at the highest levels of football as one of the smartest football players in the game. Bill Belichick co-signed on how smart Ed Reed is. So all of a sudden, people are like, "Whoa, he's outsmarted Peyton Manning." Peyton Manning has even said, Ed Reed is like the dude I worry about trying to figure out how to deal with where Ed Reed is going to be. So, what I'm saying is, watch and pay attention to how the narrative does Ed Reed get the flowers he deserves for his football acumen and his IQ now that he's the head coach. That'll be what's interesting to see, I think, over the next however long, because he does seem really interested in wanting to be a part of the college environment as he was with Miami over the past couple years. That's a private institution, so who knows? There might be some people who got a few extra millions that they didn't give to Miami. That who knows? They may give to Ed Reed, and Ed Reed may turn around and give some of that to Bethune, and that could turn out to be a big thing for Bethune. So that'll be
Mhm.
interesting. It'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's why I wanna. That's why I want to see who he hires as assistants, because Coach Prime really took off. I think this is just my opinion when he started getting former NFL players who are retired, either as
Right,
analysts, and he has a couple of
right.
former teammates as coaches. But when he got people who will be analysts or volunteer coaches, I think I can't I've forgotten the punter's name, but he had a kicker punter. Was it Aguayo? Who
Hmm.
is who came on I think this
Yeah.
summer as a special teams. Then he got Tim Brewster, who was formerly at FSU, and then he got gosh,
Minnesota head coach,
yes, Mike Zimmer
former
to come in
Minnesota Vikings.
Zimmer.
as a
Yeah.
defensive analyst. I mean that kind of draw. It's kind of hard to really out scheme all that NFL experience. And if he does the same thing at Bethune, and if they change up, it'll be interesting to see how well it goes and what type of acumen he brings in as coaches or analysts.
One other thing that I heard talked about, fellas, at while I was there, was that Ray Lewis was the. It came down to him and Ray Lewis, Reed and Ray Lewis. That's the rumor. I don't know, if there's any truth to it, but that was the rumor floating around the gym that I was in. I'm in Daytona Beach again, so trust me, there's a lot of BCU people there. That was the name that was floated around as the other candidate. So just to put that out there. Last little bit of tidbits before we get back to our recap of the year. The FAMU edition of the LeBron Sevens are dropping in 2023. Actually, you can go buy, well, they're not limited, but there'll be special edition, FAMU edition, LeBron Sevens. Now, Kelvin, in the notes you wrote in here 2 different editions. Is it the black one's coming out in early
The black
January?
the black one's supposed to come out in January, early January, somewhere after the
Okay.
7th, I think.
What's the other one after
And then
that?
there's
Is there another color?
and then there's a green. There's a green version.
Ooh.
And we
And
don't
I
have a
think they
release
just
date for those.
and they just put that out. I just saw it either last night, or this morning from one of those sneaker accounts.
What do those
They had
shoes
a green
retail? What are
version.
they going to retail at?
200.
Yikes. How bad do I want to rep FAMU, right? On my feet. And then do I have to just sit on them? Do I have to sit on them until homecoming? I mean, what do I have to do, I'm not
You
going
get a
to
smudge on them, boy.
yeah, I know. I'm not going to LA Fitness and picking up any games talking about, yo, I got these little LeBrons. Let's go. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. All right, let's get back to recapping the 2022 year. Some of the worst moments of the year. I'll go number 1 right out the box. I gotta be careful I say this. The resignation of Courtney Gaucher. Although it came very close, if you read and trust in reports, that it was close to being a firing, but instead it turned into being a resignation on April 20th, 2022. And the Gaucher resignation was surrounded by the deals that the messy deals, the other stuff. There was some other messy stuff which is happening still in lawsuits. But yeah, it was pretty disappointing. It was one of those days where I don't know how many calls you guys got, but I got a lot of texts and calls. What are y'all doing? What's going on at FAMU? How could you get rid of one of the bright spots, the young up and coming? I mean, because you got to remember, as Ashley Robinson at Southern or Jackson State is doing his thing with Coach Prime, well, Courtney Gaucher's name is running right there with him as, the hot young ADs who are making moves and creating these great relationships. Why not us is happening under Gaucher's watch. Um, Plans for renovated facilities, the LeBron relationship, and the Nike thing is happening. And we've talked about on this show how some of those things were already in place, some of those things were already happening, and it just kind of came up on Courtney's watch. And then there was other things that I'm sure he was probably a part of helping to make happen. But yeah, I just think the lack, and still a definitive statement by the president of the university explaining what happened never came. To me, that still ranks as an all-time worst under the Robinson watch. I'll yield the floor now to you guys. If you, Kelvin, if you want to add as your number 1 or whatever you want to do, I'll yield the floor. But that for me was my number 1 worst moment.
I 100% agree with you in terms of Robinson's lack of leadership at that moment. And my number one gonna be his second moment this year. But to just reference back to that real quick, um, such a disruptive and disappointing end to the relationship. Some of it, maybe, regardless of which side you fall on that, just the disruptiveness, given the timing of everything. You at the end of the athletic calendar, um, like you say, you've had some branding wins. LeBron, the car we talked about. So from the outside looking in, there was it looked like there was a positive projection happening and trajectory. We were headed in a direction, at least. Let's say that. And then it just came crashing down. I mean, it was a colossal crash, personally and professionally. And like you say, it's still going on. It had residual effects all the way into the politics of the state,
Yes.
right? Is
Yes.
it was absolutely hands down the worst, number one of 2022 for FAMU. For me, the next thing, of course, is the compliance snafu fiasco. Now you guys know that we talked about that being a concern before all this happened, right? When we were
Yep.
talking about all these
Yep.
vacant positions, we got an interim
Yep.
AD. All these folks on the left, right, in the athletic administration, and you got someone in the role who really background wasn't in the compliance side of things. So it had some, and then you had all these new students coming in, and
Yep.
I was harping. I was like, man, I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned, and for it to get all the way to the day before, the day or two before the first game, for it to come to a head like it did, and it was on everywhere, right? All the talk
Yes.
shows, all the social media sites, on every ticker. I mean, it was huge. It was huge, and it was a big stain. And then I tell you what resonates with me, going back to Dr. Robinson, and COVID was on a big crusade at that time. But the thing that in both of these scenarios that disappointed me was, I remember him saying something to the fact, I don't know why people say I don't care about
I
athletics.
don't care.
If that
Right.
wasn't Delph,
Right.
if that wasn't Delph Tone, right, man, our department, man, is exploding. You ain't saying jack. It don't look like you did jack to contribute to the positive or negative. It look like it's been on self remote control or something, and and um and then to make that statement, you don't know why. If those two incidents, as publicly as they were, if, that's why people, if you remember, it led to my statement that became kind of a rally cry moniker for us.
Yeah.
We give a damn.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so man, I don't want to relive either one of those things, but that compliance issue, it was, for anybody who's been around athletic departments, it was predictable. You were hoping it wasn't as bad as it was, and I still don't understand how you mess up the returning players. I could see transfers and new kids coming in, but kids, and then your best players. I don't know what other program that would even be possible where your best players get caught up in it, right? If you
Right.
don't take care of anybody else, you take care of them,
Yeah.
right? Your leaders. So that was definitely my worst.
There were a lot of people who asked questions about what their own university's compliance offices look like in light of that. And that was one of the things we pointed out, was how sorely understaffed the FAMU department was in comparison to other universities, Southern, Alabama State. There are schools operating with 3, 4 such individuals. So it was well. It woke a lot of people up. It woke a lot of people up. I don't. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough on that. We've said enough. Marcus, I want to give you time here, and then we got to keep moving. So what's another worst of the year for you?
I don't know. I got a couple down here, but one kind of rolls it all up. Um, and it's not sports related, but it's kind of sort of. And it's the scandal with, gosh, I don't know why I'm losing track of the thing that's going on. He was a former state senator,
Oh,
and
Ramon.
we don't know
Ramon was it Alexander?
Ramon Alexander, yeah, and
Yeah,
we don't
it's
know
kind of
all the
tied in
details on
some of
how
this stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And also, along with that, we've had two people, actually, the two best track and field people. I'm not a big track and field person, but I want to give them highlights. But our two best track and field people over the last 2 years, both who made the NCAA um, outdoor finals. So we had Jalen Scott and Rachel Robinson leave the program
Yeah.
and
And
leave the
don't forget,
program and
remember when
jump in the
Rachel
portal.
told us she was very honest that and I don't know if we caught her by surprise. We did, and I didn't even think it was where she I think we had talked about next year, and then she was like, well, I'm actually in the portal going to be transferring, and it was like, what? Wait a
Mm.
minute, what? And we found out about some of the issues that the track program had on the way to meets, stuff that was not reported and talked about. So when we talk about the impact of our show, I mean, we can go from Rachel to Coach
Yeah.
Shoot. We can go to
Yeah.
Coach Pillow. We can go to Coach Mack.
Tell
You name Coach Simmons. Hey, you
them.
name a coach, he or she has been here and told us how lacking their sports are. So yeah, so I'm sorry, Marcus. I steamrolled your segment
Oh
there,
no,
your
it
time.
all ties, but I guess it ties into the bigger issue. Both Jalen Scott and Rachel Robertson transferred out, and both of them within the last 2 years made the NCAA outdoor track and field the finals events out in Eugene, Oregon, representing FAMU, and they both left based on issues that were within the program. And I don't know how directly
Right.
that's tied into the Ramon Alexander and Sky Dawson type stuff or whatever was going on there. But in light of the you two mentioning the two bigger items that are more prominent, I still think this is one of the worst things because it didn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yep.
Agreed.
I would include. I was gonna. I talked about the NASCAR, seeing the NASCAR uh, the die on a car at a race. Another one of my worst was actually the deal not getting done that allowed for us to have the car. Show that car again, Kelvin. That car that you got that you showed earlier. That 2 foot, 3 foot. We almost had a car this size with the NASCAR. Man, we would have made so much money. I've talked to the people who had the look. This is behind the scenes, guys. I've talked to the people who had the deal set up. There was a 15,000 unit order that was being placed by Fanatics. 15,000 units. FAMU would have made, I don't know, do 15,000 times, I don't know, $30 or whatever. That's how much FAMU probably would have made off that deal. But because some people weren't in the loop, I's were dotted, T's. People said they didn't know, even though their names were on contract. I don't know, whatever. The deal got blown up, and we blew it. We blew it. We blew a lot of money that could have come in to the university. We blew it. So that was one of my worst. I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Kelvin, so we can keep the thing moving. What's another worst?
Do more with more. The fact that we
Yes.
had to that we have to emphasize that on every show, every time we talk about athletics at FAMU, uh, that we got to beg for the resources required to be excellent, right? The standard should be excellent, right? We expect to be excellent, but you can't have those expectations without putting the resources in play. And until we get our budget at double digits, and I'm talking middle 15 at least. This is something that, as long as we have this platform, I'm gonna continue to hit on. We have to do more with more, and it has to be important. More, it has to be important enough to our leadership, particularly our president and our board of trustees. I've seen the NEA and all the affinity groups. I've seen the foundation. I've seen Rattler Nation. We're not where we want to be or what we could or should be, but we have been kicking in, and we've been asked to do more, and we have done more. I've not really seen that on the other side from internal, and I need to see that come in. We got a new AD coming in. She needs our support. She deserves our support, and and I've got to see my president and our board step up to the plate in a big way. Raise some money. How about that? Instead of asking us, talking about what we need to give, what you bringing to the table?
Amen.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well said.
That'll
Well
motivate me
said.
a lot more to see y'all doing it.
Marcus, what do you got?
I'm not going to speak on Labor Day. I'm going to skip that one because I saw that one in chat. I think one other, I'm going to combine these two because they're both basketball related, one for men, one for women. For the men, just the early exit from the tournament. I was like, the way that we were streaking into the tournament, I was like, ooh, we got a shot. And then I don't know, we just didn't seem to have it against Alabama A&M. And I was like sitting there like teeth grinding. I was like, oh, come on. We should be able to beat them.
The one team I didn't think we needed to see, who was a bad matchup for us, is who we drew in the first round. I felt like A&M was the worst team for us to play.
Before the game. You did say
Yep,
that.
that was the worst matchup. I didn't want us to be the 4 seed, and doggone it, we ended up as the 4 seed, and sure enough, they got us. They got us.
Mm-hmm. And combined with staying on the basketball, just seeing the women on the, just how between COVID and injuries ravaged the team, because we had some COVID issues earlier, and I think some nights we only had maybe 6-7 players total.
Yes.
And then I want to say we're in the midst of conference play. We lost Anaya. Is it Anaya Douglas? Who was
one of our top scorers? Yeah.
Our top scorers. And so she was out for the remainder of the year. I didn't know if it was COVID related or injury, but it later came out it was an injury. I'm not sure what it was. But it seemed like the whole year was just up and down in terms of player availability, coming out of not having a season in 2020. And it was Coach Pillo's first true season of actually coaching. And it just seemed like everything was off kilter. But just how the season went, but just the injuries and absences due to COVID, just that was one of my disappointments. I mean, you can't control some of that, but it's just a disappointment to see in her inaugural year all the injuries and personnel challenges that she had and couldn't really get started.
Right. I love the fact that Kenya Sykes, we'll go round 3 here in just a second. I love Kenya that she points out losing the 2 channels on HBCU League Pass Plus was a tough L. People forget when the whole deal first came out, Grambling and Florida A&M were a part of HBCU League Pass Plus with their own channels. MU had its own channel. That own channel would allow FAMU to basically whatever type of content they wanted to put out on that channel, they could have. anything from student produced things to athletic shows, athletic events, all of that was available to FAMU first. One of the first before some of the other schools came on board. Gone, gone, lost. So
Let me
yeah,
ask a
thank you.
question. Let me ask a question. How many other D1 HBCUs outside of Gremlin are part of that deal right now?
Right now,
What
none.
what other money is behind it? I'm going somewhere with this, right? So it's more than just saying you got a deal and having a platform. Number one, you have to have the infrastructure both internally and externally, and I don't know if that exists right now. I know it don't exist internally, where you have enough people and
Dealing with.
equipment and everything to put the content into play. So that means that your
Right.
partner would have to have that kind of resource, and I don't know if that's the case. I actually do know, but so I
Yeah,
think we pulling the horse before the cart, number one, and there's other reasons behind this thing, and to get that media money. Media money is where it's at. You're right. We got the right concept. Media money is where you can really grow some significant revenues, but it has to be a well resource media uh prospect or some, and I want to see us get there. I really do.
full transparency, because we are part. We are part of the Black College Sports Network. The Black College Sports Network works as a content provider for HBC League Pass Plus, and so there are several schools that we, the BCSN, produce, and then those games appear on HBC League Pass Plus. We were days away. We were on site in Tallahassee working to try to get spring games. This was at back in March, ready to get softball, baseball games onto the platform. And then the S hit the fan. And and then that was the end of it. So again, there were opportunities for FAMU. It fell apart. So
Yeah,
who knows? That'll be,
yeah,
I'm sure, one thing for AD Sykes to work on.
yeah.
Another round three here quickly, guys. We'll just quickly go around the horn. Another one final round here. Worst for me was the National Alumni Association Summer Convention. Very adamant, very disappointed that athletics was completely ignored that weekend. That's all I'm going to say. That was one of the worst for me that week. Kelvin, your go.
59-3, and that's the only time I'm gonna say that, and I'm done.
Woo! Yes, sir.
That was horrible.
That was Marcus.
Yeah, I got to double down on that. That last Labor Day weekend was a day that will live in infamy.
Yeah,
See how
makes
hurt we
makes me
genuinely are. Still, all these times
makes me
later, we
not
still
want to.
hurt.
Hey, that's a great transition to our next segment. What we got right, what we got wrong. Uh, because we all got that wrong.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
Jesus. Did we get that one wrong? Um, and it wasn't even like with orange tinted glasses. We just got them glasses smacked off our face early. Okay, the moment. What was the moment when you knew something wasn't right? We'll go around the horn. For me, it was pregame, and I saw our team come out of the tunnel, and we didn't look together. The band wasn't playing. It was just like, oh, here comes Florida A&M football. And then I see some guys come out. Then I see more guys. And I was just like, that's the longest entrance onto the field I've ever seen happen. And we didn't look together at that moment. And sure as hell didn't look together at any other point in that ball game. and then you had all the other stuff happening. But that was my first red flag. What was yours, Kelvin?
The first couple of drives by Jackson State offensively. I knew we needed to have a strong defense performance, and even though we ended up not we ended up not giving a score on one of those drives. The ease at which Shador was able to move the ball and pick us apart. Um, Obviously, I thought we weren't going to be able to make adjustments until halftime, and so I knew we had players who hadn't played the previous week who had just got there on Friday, so they really hadn't practiced with the team because the team left on Wednesday. So those first couple of drives kind of told me it might be a long day.
Marcus, what about you?
Same here. And the first couple of drives, and it seemed like we were always in a negative field position. It seemed like our first two drives started, if I remember correctly, like inside the 25. I want to say inside the 20 or the 15. We just had poor field position. So we were fighting a long field, having the mental challenge of everything that went on that week. Right, actually the previous week, the 2 weeks with the University of North Carolina, and then compliance issues and everything else. And it just seemed like things weren't clicking. I mean, there was the hope of, well, Musa looked good versus UNC, so hopefully it'll translate over. But, there was just so much going on, and the first two drives looked very lethargic. I want to say we were 3 and out. And I think one of the first drives we threw, I think I remember either the first drive or the second drive. He threw a high pass, like a back shoulder or a high pass to Manigo, and Travis Hunter was covering him. He wasn't even supposed to be playing. I guess he was a game down decision. You just see him go up, and it was a third down and knock the ball down. I'm like, oh boy, this is not gonna be good, because he's playing with one arm. I think he had a cast on his arm, and he's still knocking down passes off our tallest receiver. And high pointing the ball. And I'm like, this is not gonna go well. So those first couple of drives for me were like, I had hope, but I was like, what in the world?
Okay, continuing on, what we got right, what we got wrong. Something that I got right, but I also got it wrong. I predicted that FAMU football would go 7-1 in the SWAC East. What I got wrong was I figured we would win the SWAC East. I was the lone wolf of the BCSN to think FAMU would win the East. Even my good friend AD Drew didn't even pick FAMU on wax. Everybody everybody went Jackson State, and they were all right. I was wrong, but I did get the 7-1 correct. And I may have told you guys this. The one game that I thought we would lose, not Jackson State, was Alabama State. That was the game that I thought we would lose, and I knew it would be tough. We avoided losing, thankfully, that game. Give me another one, Kelvin. What you got right or what you got wrong?
SWAC West. I knocked it out the park. I said that first of all, Southern will win the West, and then secondly, I said the SWAC West was whoever won it was going to have 3 SWAC losses at least, because I knew that if Southern win it, I mean they played both FAMU and Jackson State. That was 2 losses right there, and with a new coach, a new staff, and everything, somebody was going to get them in the West. So that my SWAC West prediction makes up for my SWAC East prediction. Because I predict FAMU, of course, and I say we would lose. I also say we only have 1 loss in the SWAC, but it wouldn't be Jackson State.
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Marcus? What you got right? What you got wrong?
I don't remember. I think my predictions are kind of alignment with Kelvin's. So I'll take credit for that, for getting in terms of Southern and the West. I think I predicted FAMU in the East. And I think I may even said FAMU in the Celebration Bowl. So I know I got that one wrong. But I think that's what I recall. I'd have to go back and look at the show and everything, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I think I can say we all got the volleyball right. We predicted that we would do what we did in volleyball. We all got that right. Um, the AD selection, Tiffany Dawn Sykes. Full transparency, I got that wrong. I got it wrong. I was probably less sure, you know, than anything else. That was the one that surprisingly got wrong, and I
I'm gonna
hope
tell
I'm
you.
okay
I'm
with
gonna tell
that.
you another one you got wrong.
Yeah,
Because I told you in COVID,
yeah.
Dion leaving. I told
Oh,
I told y'all
at the end of
I
this
told
year.
y'all that Dion wasn't gonna see another season.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, and we thought it
And
would be after
Kobe was
Shador.
adamant. Oh man, he's there for the culture. I said no, he's there for the check. And as soon as that check come in, he out here.
Yeah, you called that one. You called that one. Marcus, anything else you got right or wrong that you can think of?
Let me think of. Well, one thing I will say, I'll take partial credit for it, and it wasn't publicly here. I may have mentioned it, but in the pit,
Uh-huh.
when we were first doing the meetings around the AD and the 18 person, I said a person of interest who might be an interesting one to consider because we didn't know. I said Tiffany Dawn Sykes. And I got it on record in
Oh,
the
look
pit.
at you.
So
Look
I
at
got that one.
you.
I didn't know she was a candidate because she wasn't one of the names that was released, but I did say here's somebody that's up and coming, and if she's not on the list, that she could at least be something somewhere down the line. She's gonna make a good AD somewhere. Didn't know it was gonna be FAMU because at the time they were still vetting. I think when they put that out, they were doing the candidate numbers, and you had to stay
Uh-huh.
on there all day, and people got to work. You
Oh
can't be
yeah.
watching AD
Oh man.
interviews for 8 hours a day continuously. So I was like,
Yeah.
so we were
Yeah.
trying to figure out, okay, who's candidate number 18 or number 35? Do we recognize their face? Can you do a Google search and see who that is? So, but in the
I
midst of
will
that,
say
I
this.
mentioned,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I just saying in the future, next time that we hear that there's going to be a committee, we are going to assign somebody to cover it like the OJ trial. And we're just going to have somebody there watching all day. We're going to record the screen. I don't care if you got to record the screen with the little camera off to the side. Uh, we're going to take notes. We're gonna provide the in-depth coverage that nobody else will do because we learned from that experience that next time there is an 18-person committee, I don't care what it's for, but next time we hear about an 18-member committee, we're gonna cover that doggone thing like what was the lady Nancy Grace used to cover OJ trial, and stuff, or Casey Anthony. That's what we gonna do. I tell you what, man, we learned from that one. Let me see what else we get right or wrong. I'm just thinking here as I'm looking. Oh, I did get that. We already noted about the FAMU men's basketball. I told y'all that was who I didn't want us to see um, in play in that contest. Um, we lost. Well, I don't know if we call this got right or got wrong. We we lost the head coach in Mike Rice, and then we gained a head coach. We gained him back. So we thank Prairie View A&M for that. So we lost Mike Rice, and then we gained Mike Rice back. Constance Orr, softball coach, left. So we lost Constance Orr after 2 seasons, following up Veronica Wiggins. And we still have an interim softball coach going into the spring. Um, a couple of notes before we talk about our team and players, coach of the year. I want to make mention that in 2022, we did lose 2 legends, two FAMU legends. Coach Bobby Lang passed away back on January 7th, and then Coach Joe Durant passed away back on March 6th. Um, I believe two former assistants under Gaither. Jake Gaither might have been the last two.
Bobby was. Yeah.
Bobby was okay. Okay. Joe was just he was our
He's too
baseball
young.
coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I hate that I can't remember the young man's name from our baseball program. Um, I can't. And did that happen in 2022 or was that 21?
It
Well, it would
actually
have been
happened, I
22.
think, in like December before the
Yes.
21. Okay.
because he never got a
Before
chance
this,
in January to join the team, right? Yeah, that
Right.
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
it was then actually
Okay.
around this time or just in Christmas break, right before spring practice started for baseball.
Right. So I won't mention. I don't feel. I hate that. Well, I won't mention his name since that was 21. We also did lose young student athlete Michaela Bryant, cheerleader, back on January
Mm.
28th. Um,
Yeah.
so that was just kind of going back and seeing the news reports. It was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Um, she would have graduated too in the spring. I believe she was part of the spring ceremonies that they did, commemorative or an honorary degree.
Yeah.
But she would have
Yeah.
graduated in the spring. Okay, let's close it down with our coach and player or team of the year. Let's start with coach. Coach of the year. Who would you give coach of the year? Marcus, I'm gonna start with you. What coach, men or women, we only get one choice.
Mm.
Who would you give coach of the year to in 2022?
Mm. I'm gonna go with Coach Gokhan.
Okay.
Just for a target on the back, coming in as the reigning SWAC champs, and everybody's gunning for you. Everybody was getting transfers, and the ladies came in with a target on their back, not only from having won it first year in this, but because they won it in the first year in the SWAC. So I know that all teams were gunning for them. Alabama State got us once, in Tallahassee, and they were probably salty because of they were up 2 sets to none in Montgomery when we played them earlier in the season, and we came back and won 3-2. So I give the coach Gokhan with having, I want to say, 4 or 5 transfers coming in and coming off a championship season, and knowing you're coming in with a huge target on your back, everybody's gunning for you, and frankly, I'm sure SWAC teams want to put us in our place. And he didn't let it happen. He and the ladies went out, handled business, all the way to the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row.
Well said. How about you, Kelvin? Your coach of the year.
I'm gonna go on the men's side, and I'm not gonna go with the obvious. I'm gonna go with Coach Rice. I put a value on championships in spite of whatever circumstances and adversity that hits. Um, he had us a championship, had us in the NCAA. He left. We still winning tournaments at the beginning of the fall with the team he recruited and his assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back, and then we won some more. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll be favorites to win in the spring. We got a team full of really good golfers. We got more than the we got more than he's splitting scholarships all kind of creative ways because he got the talented golfers on the team, right?
Right.
So and his love for the program is obvious. When he came on our show when he left, and he came on our show when he had came back, and it was just tough for him, man. He couldn't stay away 2 months, and that itch was, hey, we're ready to come back. So, um, Coach Rice is my coach of the year.
All right. So I'll go. I don't know if you may be calling this obvious. I'm going Coach Simmons, coach of the year.
Yep.
Nobody, and in this country, you show me a coach who had to deal with more.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm going to start with losing assistant coaches in August.
Yep.
which having to hire new coaches, then deal with the compliance issues, deal with a 59-3 loss, find a way to get your team to roll off 9 consecutive wins,
Yep.
just to even sniff an opportunity to go to the playoffs, to have the door closed. And then I love the way he responded by just stating facts about how inaccurate or unequal the whole process is. Um, that's my coach. I mean, a lot of great coaches. I love Coach Rice, Coach Gokhan. But I mean, he taught a master class on keeping your team together. And when the book is written, and I hope somebody, hey, if he's a journal writer, I hope he wrote notes on this year, because he'll give a lecture and a series, a master class about how to overcome adversity in your program that should be studied. It'll be studied on how they study generals and their battles and stuff like that, and the strategies and things they did. Now somebody's got to get in there and write the book on how Simmons.
Yep. He's right. And I think we're gonna go. Hopefully, he'll jump back in here in a minute, Marcus. But next, we're gonna go with your student athlete of the year,
Oh,
athletics.
okay. All right. Student athlete of the year. I am going to go with. I'm, huh, I might have to flip a coin. I'm gonna go with Brooke Lynn Watts in volleyball, and I say that
Okay.
because she came in as a newcomer, and every well, I won't say every Batman, but Batman always has the Robin, and I don't want to. And there's no way means diminishing her skill and talent on the court, but she was a perfect complement, and actually a lot of the transfers are perfect complements to add to Dominique Washington. But Brooklyn Watts, especially watching her during the tournament, and even playing against the University of Florida in the first round of the NCAA's, just seeing her and how she melded into the program and overall provided much support and much leadership and skill, talent, and ability.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna go next. Brian, in case you didn't hear it, we're talking about the student athlete of the year, and I'm
Okay.
gonna go with. I'm not gonna go with the obvious again. This is another one that could be obvious, and you didn't go with that obvious choice either in volleyball. But I'm going with MJ Randolph.
Hmm.
He graduated
Yeah.
this year with honors. He was a very productive player for 4 years. He was the player of the year in the SWAC men's basketball. Just a very, very well put together young man. And now he's in the G League, trying to earn the shot at the next level. But he's everything that's right with student athlete in every way. How he carries himself, how he gets his books, he put in the work, and got better every year. Listens to the coach, takes his responsibility, and then he added leadership this year. So MJ Randolph, men's basketball, my student athlete of the year. What's yours, Brian?
So are we doing just one overall, right?
We just did one overall.
Okay, so male or female, just one. Okay, that's
Mm.
because see, as I broke up male and female, MJ was probably gonna be my male athlete of the year. So that's oh man, you know, I gotta go. I don't know if this is obvious or not. I'm gonna go Dominique. I'm gonna go Dominique Washington.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fanboy. I mean, I
Oh
look, I
yeah,
love her
we are
game,
too.
and then
Yeah,
I love the story. Again, having met her, having talked to her from the get go, her story is unique, guys. I mean, they're not too. I mean, imagine going from being the 10th to 12th woman on a team to becoming the star when you transfer as a grad student. Think about that. You spend 3 to 4 years at a school, then you transfer and become the star, the conference player of the year. You lead a program to back-to-back titles. That's a hell of a story. And she was an All-American. Her performance, because there were so many other people around her, she dominated in different ways this year. Last year, she became like, it was just all about the kills and the points. This year, she did so much more, and there were other people doing stuff as well, that she sometimes didn't have the lead. She didn't have the most kills, and she wasn't the player of the week. But at the end of the day, when you look up at the points, she led the league in points.
yeah,
She improved her digs. Uh, I mean, player of the year. I mean, and there were some
yeah.
great candidates out there. So
Hmm.
I give it to Dominique. All right, and so we close with
Team.
our team
Yeah.
of the year. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how we do this. Do we? I mean, is this all? What do you got, Marcus? Let's just hear it. Go around the horn. Who you got?
Uh, well, I want to be different. I'm going to say the baseball team.
Okay.
I mean, like we, the young man who unfortunately died. He was from South Georgia, and he was going to be one of the starting pitchers. Or
Okay.
he was going to be a pitcher. I don't know if he was going to be a starter. They start this year out before you even get to spring practice with that adversity, and then to make it all the way to the semifinals. And as you chronicled earlier, the epic battles during the SWAC tournament, almost eking it out, getting to the semifinal game, the second of a winner go home game, and just putting it all out there. So I'm gonna try to deviate from the path of, we've already given the accolades to a lot of the other teams that have a lot of star power and winning championships. So I'm gonna pick the baseball team for showing their grit and doing pretty well. And I'm not sure how they match up versus the preseason predictions for their entrance into the SWAC, but I'll give them my team of the year in terms for just performing as they did.
Go ahead, Kelvin.
I don't, I don't think any team had the adversity that coming out of the box that the football team have. So I'm gonna go obvious on this one. Um,
Mm.
though that the whole compliance thing, and then they too lost those 4 or 5 coaches during the summer, and had to adjust, and then face adversity right off the bat when they once they lost so badly and played so poorly against Jackson State and OVC, and to run off 9 wins in a row, to take the stand that they took and how they took it. Even the little show that they did, what a little video or whatever it was program to talk about, the decision making in that process and so forth. I,
Oh
I
yeah.
love everything they, I love everything they did and how they did it, and and again, it made a difference. And then they also performed on the field as well as with all this other stuff going on, and kept the team together. We don't have kids in the transfer portal and stuff, man. Like some programs, we don't have quote unquote a celebrity coach. Man, that whole program, that football program, man, I'm super proud of it. This
Mm.
year, it was phenomenal.
You summed it up for me. I thought about basketball, men's basketball versus football, but all of those points you made, it's hard to overcome. I thought basketball's winning streak got us excited about the possibilities. I, I think had we got to the finals of the SWAC tournament, maybe I could have bit the bullet for men's basketball, but the disappointing first round exit hurt them. But you brought up everything. To see us playing our best football at the Florida Classic, given everything I mean, it warms your heart, man. And so that's the team of the year. Team of the year. Coach Simmons and our football program. So that's going to do it for our 2022 best and worst. As we look to move into the new year, we'll be introducing a few new bells and whistles that we'll slowly start to incorporate into the stream, and you'll see that coming up as early as next week. So stay tuned. And want to remind you, download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. Just search MyJBN or MyBCSN. Download the audio version of this show. The podcast is on the BCSN Pod Zone. So go download that. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. For our good friend Kofi, and who's with his family, we wish you happy new. We we wish you happy new year. For our producer Mel, done a great job this year and working with us. She hadn't left us yet, folks. So I mean, we must be doing something right. We appreciate and love Mel, Marcus Green, all the great work you've done behind the scenes and then jumping in on screen when we get your shot. I appreciate you, brother, and everything that you do. Kelvin, couldn't do this show without you, man. So glad you decided to stick it out and do it.
Thank you for the
chose to stick it
opportunity,
out.
man. Thanks for asking.
Yes, sir. I'm Brian Fulford. Thank you to everybody. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Happy
You guys
New
be
Year.
safe.
Happy New Year, Rattlers.
Happy New Year, Rattlers. You
2023.
guys be safe.
Year to Rattler.
Take an Uber or Lyft wherever you go. Don't drink and drive. Be smart. And let's all come back together in 23 and make sure that we strike, and strike again. Good night, everybody. Peace out.